Welcome back, you man. Diamond K in here, the all new radioonfire.com. Thank you for joining me. Happy Tuesday to everybody. Here on the program, we deliver the biggest political and trending news stories of the day with interviews and original reporting from across the country, emanating from our studios in Atlanta and Baltimore. Show's fun, show's upbeat, but I also want to expose what is really happening in this country. Radio on Fire is Black voices giving you the American story. And a hell of a story that it is. New episodes of the show drop weekdays, 8 a.m. But I don't want you to miss any of our live broadcasts. In addition to the 8 a.m. show, we drop content throughout the day as news happens. So hit that notification bell so you get an alert whenever we go live. This morning on the program, I want to talk about taking your shoes off. Should you take your shoes off before you go indoors? At least at my parents' house, now we weren't raised this way because we had hardwood floors coming up. But since my parents have moved into their last few condos, the shoes off rule has been in effect. So my mother has this, this whole shoe basket. She has these little slip-on things. She's got these flip-flop things. If you try to have an excuse for not taking your shoes off, she has something to overcome that objection. And many folks also, my parents aren't the originators of this tradition to take your shoes off before you walk around in the house. So do you ask folks to take their shoes off when they enter your house? That is the question. That's what I'm going to be talking about. That is exactly what we are going to be talking about. Of course, Diamond K in the morning, available on the WRF Radio app. Simply download WRF Radio in your app store. Leave me a comment. You can scroll your timeline, attend a Zoom meeting on mute, do some online shopping, send an email, all while listening to Diamond K in the morning. Our weekday lineup on WRF Radio. DJ Cornbread does the midday mix. Morgan Brittany hosting the top 10 at 10 countdown. A lot of exciting things going on over at WRF Radio. Make sure you download that app. So, getting back to taking your shoes off inside, there are a lot of benefits. There are a lot of benefits to taking your shoes off inside. I mean, the most obvious benefit to the no shoe rule is that, quite frankly, dirt, oil, and other contaminants won't be tracked through your house if you get people to take their shoes off. So this can be less time spent cleaning your floors, vacuuming the floors. Could mean a longer life for your carpets, having folks take their shoes off. It could also cut down on the possible transmission of disease-carrying bacteria that people step on. Infectious bacteria, I don't know if y'all know this. Infectious bacteria can attach to shoes when you've been walking outside. Public restrooms and other disgusting places have a high concentration of pathogens. I'm not trying to go too nerd on you, but pathogens are, organisms that cause diseases. So you definitely want to cut down on that. The tread and the cracks in shoes are also ideal places for bacteria to linger. So, yeah, it's customary in many cultures actually to take your shoes off before entering someone's home. Customary. Now, this tradition may have not caused the uptick in this, but it definitely helps visitors from tracking mud and dirt onto floors and rugs. Well, plenty of scientific research to support this practice in order to keep invisible germs away. Yeah. We posted this on social media and on my Facebook page, Diamond K, the Diamond K Show, excuse me. On Facebook, we posted this question just to try to get an idea of what folks were thinking as it relates to that. Taking your shoes off indoors. So you can see there, question: do you ask people to take their shoes off when they enter your home? Put that question out there, and got a couple of comments. So we're gonna scroll through and see what we got here. All right, so hang on here. So I'm gonna try to see if we can enlarge this a little bit. Many of you may notice I have been wearing glasses lately. So I had an eye exam, whole nother story for a whole nother time. Bonkers says that he does, and I take my shoes off when I enter someone else's house, even if they don't, and they look at me like I'm crazy. All right, so Bonkers is saying that he does that, and he's not asking anybody to do anything that he does not do himself. Taking shoes off. And Alvin says, first off, my house broke. Can't have company. Plus, it's only carpet upstairs, so no shoes past the first floor. Many people agreeing. Ed Brown saying, or they need to put that shoe net at the door. A lot of people saying that it's required. Yes, it's a requirement. Many folks saying that this shoe rule is a requirement. Renato says, I even got guest slides. They can use that. I clean so dust or pollen doesn't get tracked in the house. Nakia says, yes. Okay. China Edwards says, absolutely, got a shoe rack at the door. And for those with stinky feet, I have shoe covers at the door too. Alicia Williamson says, no, I don't have to. It's a shoe rack at the door. They come in and automatically take their shoes off and put them on the rack. She says she doesn't even have to ask. They already know. Nichelle says, no, I have hardwood floors. So she's not worried about that. Justin says, no, unnecessary since I have hardwood. Sidebar, if you ask me to take my shoes off in your home, please have slippers or slides in place for me to wear. I'm not keen on walking with my socks on. Candace said, usually they see my shoes at the front door and they automatically take theirs off. And if they don't, yes, I ask them to take theirs off. But Yeah, but I'm antisocial, she says, and really don't have company, so I don't have to worry about this much. A lot of people saying that, not having a lot of company. Kimberly says that yes, I take my shoes off when I go to others' house as well. Sean says no, hardwood floors, carpet is played out, but you have to put a hair net on to come in. My wife doesn't like hair. A lot of folks saying that they do, some saying that they don't, some saying most definitely. Some more folks with hardwood floors. Rochelle says in certain areas, yes, not in the foyer, entryway, or guest area. I also have slippers and shoe covers for extended stay guests. That sounds like a hotel in that piece. Tina Snow says only if they're going upstairs in my house. Only place I have carpet. I'm OCD with dirty floors. So definitely thank everybody for those comments. A lot of interesting ones. Folks talking about the shoes. I thought it was only my family that was serious about that. Are there risks? Are there risks to not wearing shoes inside? Are there any risks to that? Of course there are risks. You used to get splinters we used to have splinters on the floor. In your socks. It can get a little crazy. Walking barefoot inside surely has health risks as well. One study found, and this is healthline.com. One study found that bacteria and fungus can be found in house dust, particularly in homes where dampness is a concern and when surfaces aren't cleaned regularly. I hope that's not your house. Listeners of this show have amazing houses. I don't know whose house they're talking about. Also, having a pet can contribute to greater bacteria levels in homes. So if they're having you take your shoes off, right? Have you ever gone to someone's house and they're like, look, you take your shoes off, and their house is not clean, and you're looking like, you talking about you want me to take my shoes off? You got plates in the bedroom and just everything is just ratchet. Has that ever happened to y'all before? It's happened to me before. Let me say that. But being shoeless or wearing a smooth sole slippers inside may also make you prone to accidents. Are you clumsy? Sliding around in the house? A 27-month study of older adults found that more than half of the falls in the house happened to individuals who were barefoot or only wearing socks or slippers. So they slid on the floor, causing them to fall and hurt themselves. Older folks. So to reduce the amount of falls and risks of the falls in your home, older adults should consider wearing sneakers or a sturdy shoe that's only worn indoors. Because you hear a lot of older people falling. And, definitely as you get older, that can be a major issue. But definitely the main thing is bacteria and other pathogens can be found all over your home. And, of course, the regular cleaning maintenance can minimize the risks that they pose to your health. So, I definitely, I wanted to put that out there. I take off shoes in my house, and I guess that comes from the obvious. You know what I mean? The obvious. Have you ever had someone that you say you can keep your shoes on and it's gonna be just for a minute, and you just watching all the tracking through the house, and you're just like, nah, shouldn't have said that, but definitely to each his own as it relates to taking the shoes off indoors. Something that, like I said, I do. But whatever you do is all good. It's all on you, whatever you do. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. LinkedIn, TikTok at The Diamond K Show, at Radio on Fire. Of course, get breaking news and adult conversation covering topics that are important to Black culture. Visit radioonfire.com for our original radio, podcast, and TV programs. Of course, you can support Diamond K in the morning. Very easy to do that. We're able to deliver our news and our views here on Diamond K in the morning, and you can support the program via Cash App, it's $ DJ Diamond K, or paypal.me/radio on fire, djdiamondk@gmail.com, or visit radioonfire.com. Diamond K in the morning is powered by the people, and we need your support. Definitely need your support. So, out of sight. The jury in the Chauvin case has been out of sight, but they are taking the center stage. The jurors are weighing in on Chauvin's fate. The jurors in this trial of the century, who sat quietly off camera through almost a month of draining testimony in the Derek Chauvin murder trial and the death of George Floyd. So they have moved to deliberation, and we are now waiting for a verdict in this trial that is captivated the world. We've had these cameras, court TV cameras inside, and it has really been an experience. Folks have been tuned in for 3 weeks. The jury consists of 6 white people and 6 people who are Black or biracial, multiracial. And it has been set for its first deliberations on this very important case. The jury is anonymous by order of the judge and sequestered now until they reach their verdict. They spent just a few hours on their task yesterday. The day was mostly consumed by closing arguments in which the prosecutors argued that Chauvin squeezed the life out of Floyd last May in a way that even a child knew was wrong. That is true. Very sad and very true. So then the defense tried to defend the indefensible. The defense commented that the now fired white officer acted reasonably, and that the 46-year-old Black man, George Floyd, died of a heart condition and illegal drug use. While this former Minneapolis cop kneeled on the neck of George Floyd with his hands in his pocket, trying to mashing down. Chauvin, 45, is charged with second-degree murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter, all of which require the jury to conclude that his actions were substantial causal factors in the death of George Floyd, and that his use of force was unreasonable. Let's keep in mind that George Floyd's hands were cuffed behind his back in a very awkward way. There were 2 other guys on him, and Derek Chauvin was on his neck. for almost 10 minutes. There's nothing reasonable in that. It's nothing reasonable in that. But this is the question. I'm not on the jury, obviously. This is the question that jurors have to contend with. The most serious charge carries up to 40 years in prison. I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening. Use your common sense. Believe your eyes. What you saw, the prosecutor said. His closing arguments, referring to the bystander video of Floyd pinned to the pavement with Chauvin's knee on or close to his neck for up to 9 minutes, 29 seconds. As onlookers yelled at the officer to get off. The defense tried to say that this was reasonable. Chauvin's attorney countered by arguing that the former officer did what any reasonable police officer would have done after finding himself in a dynamic and fluid situation involving a large man struggling with 3 officers. Wouldn't have did it for 9 minutes and 30 seconds. That's for daggone sure. Not a reasonable one. So after his attorney began speaking, the now fired Chauvin removed his COVID-19 mask in front of the jury for one of the very few times during the trial. With this case drawing to a close, some stories and some stores rather have been boarded up, preparing for the inevitable verdict, nervous about what could happen. Courthouse has concrete barriers, razor wires, and National Guard on patrol. Of course, you remember that the murder of George Floyd set off protests last year in the city and across the country. Sometimes these protests turn violent, and people are predicting there could be more when the verdict is announced. City's been on edge over some deadly police shootings. There was a shooting last week, 20-year-old Dante Wright, a few miles away from the courthouse. Tensions are very high, especially in the Twin City. About 300 protesters marched in streets outside the courtroom shortly after the jury got the case, lining up behind a banner reading "Justice for George Floyd and all stolen lives. The world is watching." Very powerful. The world is watching. What is going to be this verdict? When you talk about a child could understand. In fact, a child did understand that what former Officer Chauvin was doing was wrong. A 9-year-old girl said, "Get off of him." This young witness who objected to what she saw. That's how simple it was. Get off of him. Common sense. But common sense ain't common. Common sense ain't common. So there's also been some hay made of some comments. The media, here's what we do. The media tries to get you to answer questions that you wouldn't normally answer. They may ask you the same question a couple different ways to try to get a response from you. They may try to catch you at the right time to get you to make a comment that if you are in a better frame of mind, you may not have made. After the closing arguments were done, the judge rejected a defense request for a mistrial based in part on comments made by California Representative Maxine Waters. The representative said that we've got to get more confrontational if Chauvin isn't convicted of murder. So she said that over the weekend. The judge told Chauvin's attorney that Congresswoman Waters may have given you something on appeal that may result in this whole trial being overturned. How is that possible? How is that possible? How many officers or police supporters or police union members or Republicans have said that the officer did fine? They support the police, the officer did fine. Is that grounds for a mistrial? No. But because this black congresswoman said that, the judge called her comments abhorrent and disrespectful to the rule of law and the judicial branch. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This is what's wrong with this country. So her comments are disrespectful. George Floyd is dead. And her comments, we've got to get more confrontational. Her comments are disrespectful to the rule of law, not the death of this man and many other men and women. It shows you why she even made those comments. When the judge is more concerned about those comments after years and years and years of black and brown people being murdered by the police, what is abhorrent and disrespectful to the rule of law is people making a comment that they hope that this officer is not convicted, and if he's not convicted, then we should get confrontation. Wow. Very strange times that we live in. Very strange times that we live in. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, at The Diamond K Show, at Radio on Fire. Diamond K in the morning. In Minneapolis, the city is fortified, awaiting the verdict. Fortified. Streets are boarded up. Buildings shut down. According to reports, the city feels like it is occupied by the military. I mean, National Guard. I guess that's military, right? More than 3,000 National Guard soldiers, along with police officers, state police, sheriff deputies, and other law enforcement personnel have flooded into the Twin Cities. The verdict is looming. It's coming. What's going to happen? What's going to be the result? Former police officer charged with murder. We've been here before. Last year's death. The city has become the epitome of America's debate over police killings. There are places in Minneapolis today that feel like it's a police state. How much is too much? How much is too much? So the mayor of Minneapolis, the governor of Minnesota, they have a lot of pressure on them. City officials estimate that the city suffered roughly $350 million in damages to commercial properties when George Floyd was killed. Between a rock and a hard place. The world, as one of those signs said, the world is watching. The world is watching. And it is very interesting to see what is going to happen. I've always supported entrepreneurs and independent businesses. This pandemic has really forced business owners to pivot, become more digital, offer more options. The pandemic has hurt small businesses badly. Here in the program, we are going to be spotlighting businesses that you need to know about. Businesses that you need to know about starting tomorrow on tomorrow's show. We're going to start that. And if you have a business that you want us to spotlight, go to Instagram.com/The Show. DM me the IG page of the business that we should spotlight. Could be your business, a business that you've gone to, anything. But if there's a business that you know about, you want us to spotlight, DM me, as I said, Instagram.com/The Show. So we can know about it and tell our listeners and our viewers. Former Vice President under Jimmy Carter, Walter Mondale, has passed away, 93 years old. Former Vice President was a liberal icon. And he also lost one of the most lopsided presidential elections after bluntly telling voters to expect a tax increase if he won. Taxes? Oh, they definitely going up if y'all vote for me. But he passed away yesterday. R.I.P. Walter Mondale, as I said, 93 years old. The death of the former senator, ambassador, and Minnesota Attorney General, we're talking about Minnesota, was announced in a statement from his family. No cause of death was cited. So Mondale followed the trail blazed by his mentor, Hubert Humphrey, from Minnesota politics to the U.S. Senate to the vice presidency, serving under Jimmy Carter from 77 to 81. So in a statement last night, former President Carter said that he considered Walter Mondale the best vice president in our country's history. I mean, he's supposed to say that, right? He's supposed to say that. He added that Fritz Mondale provided us all with a model for public service and private behavior. So, yeah, definitely R.I.P. Walter Mondale. Of course, Diamond K in the morning on the all-new radioonfire.com. You can hear the program. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Of course, radioonfire.com, YouTube, IGTV, Facebook Watch. Wherever you are listening, hit that subscribe button. Tell a friend about the show. Definitely. Exciting times that we are living in right now. For good and for bad. For good and for bad. Of course, I'll be back here tomorrow morning. 8 a.m. YouTube.com/djdiamondk. NASA, their Mars helicopter takes flight first for another planet. The experimental helicopter rose into the air, the thin air, above the dusty red surface of Mars yesterday, achieving the first powered flight by an aircraft on another planet. That's a milestone right there. That's a milestone right there. The triumph was hailed as a Wright brothers moment. Wright brothers, of course, when they flew the plane for the first time. So this was a mini 4-pound copter, even carried a bit of wing fabric from the Wright Flyer that made similar history back in North Carolina, the early 1900s. So it was a brief hop, just under 40 seconds, 10 feet. But folks are very excited about it. So this $85 million helicopter was considered a high risk yet high reward. $85 million. Scientists cheered the news from around the world, even from space, and the White House offered its congratulations. They're excited. This first test flight, with more to come. The next as soon as Thursday. So folks are very excited about this. News finally came that the operations centered in space. Applause, cheers, laughter. So continue to innovate in this regard. And if the team flies something else later on this week, we'll talk about that as well. The team plans to test the helicopter's limits, possibly even wrecking the craft, leaving it in place forever. Having sent back the data already, they may just leave it up there in space. I mean, it's only 85 billion. But I guess the most important thing is for them to get the information that the aircraft. I mean, can we call it a drone? Is it a drone? I mean, it's a small, it's a little thing. But you know, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. Very big deal. Diamond K in the morning. The all-new radioonfire.com. So we're going to be back tomorrow, of course. You know, and I'm constantly reading, you know, Twitter, Instagram, news stories. Over the weekend, we lost rapper Black Rob, kidney failure. And, you know, that's, the hip hop community has just been dealing with the loss of some really important figures in hip hop. DMX passing away as well. His funeral this week, 24th. So you know, it's really been a tough time. Really been a tough time. The NBA is reportedly preparing for a stoppage ahead of this Chauvin verdict. The disgraced former cop is waiting for the jury's decision. And the verdict's impact will have an effect on this country, no matter which way it goes. The NBA has noted that they are preparing for a possible stoppage ahead of the trial's end. The league has sent memos to teams informing them of possible protests among players, as well as postponed games in the upcoming week. You remember last week, the Nets and the Timberwolves postponed games due to the murder of Dante Wright, who was killed during a traffic stop in Minnesota. So there is there's so much going on. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, at The Diamond K Show, at Radio on Fire. Diamond K in the morning, delivering the biggest political and trending news stories of the day. with interviews and original reporting from across this country, emanating from our studios in Atlanta and Baltimore. Radio on Fire is Black voices giving you the American story. It's been your man, Diamond K. Glad to be here with you, and I will see you guys tomorrow.